Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Power Core Productions and Podcastings. And today we're going to be continuing Naruto Moonlight, What If Naruto Was a Hyuga, Part 5. Now before we start today's video, I do want to make an announcement, that being that the What If Naruto Was Adopted by Tsunade video, its final part did not hit the like goal, so we will not be continuing it tomorrow. Instead, taking its place is going to be the next installment in the Naruto Polaris series, What If Hanabi Hyuga Was Born First? So, if you are a Naruto Polaris fan, then you are in luck. Naruto Polaris continues tomorrow. Also, with this video, we have reached the end of the part 1 of the Naruto series of this story, so there's going to be a like goal for this series as well. And that is going to be a like goal of 50. I need 50 likes on this video by next Monday. Otherwise, we will not be continuing this series at all. And instead, we're just going to have Naruto Rebirth take up its slot. So you'll get What If Sasuke Got the Rinnegan early on Monday and Tuesday instead. So please keep that in mind. If you like this series and you want it to continue, then make sure you like it, because this video has a 50 like goal limit and you have till next Monday to reach it. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into today's video. So as always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. The final match in the first round of the Chunin exams would see Hinata Hyuga facing against Gaara of the Desert. Their fight would be a contrast in styles, Hinata attempting to use her speed and the gentle fist to strike against Gaara, standing stoic and unmoving, as his sand would block and guard him from every direction. Hinata would be able to close the gap between the two of them, using the pressure of her Gale Palm style fist to be able to strike away at the sand armor of Gaara. However, instead of dealing external damage, it was the internal damage that took greater effect. As a wise shinobi once said, no matter how strong you are, no matter how much you train yourself on the outside, the eternal organs, the chakra network, that is something you can't train. As such, the damage and the toll taken on Gaara, while it wouldn't have an effect on the outside, would take its effect on the inside. Gaara would attempt to use his sand to crush Hinata. However, her use of the 8 trigrams rotation would prove to be powerful enough to block away at the sand. Gaara, feeling himself on the ropes, would force himself into the sand dome, attempting to retreat as he would begin to awaken Shukaku. However, the Byakugan would show what was hidden under the sand dome, with Hinata becoming ever fearful, knowing that something was coming and stirring inside of Gaara, the One-Tails. Heihachi could see it as well and would make the third Hokage aware of what was taking place. The third Hokage looking to the Kazekage, as now the Konoha Crush would begin. Hinata would use the power of the Nine-Tails, charging up a Gale Palm strike. Shooting it towards the dome, it would cause it to burst open, forcing Gaara out, as Kankuro and Tamari would move to get him to safety, as the Leaf Shinobi battled against the Sound and the Sand Shinobi, the Kazekage revealing himself to be Orochimaru. However, Heihachi Hyuga would stand by the side of the third Hokage, as the Sound Four would trap them within a barrier, as the battle would begin. This version of Heihachi Hyuga would be far stronger than his canon counterpart. Remember, he was the husband of Kushina Uzumaki. As such, her love, encouragement, and motivation forced him to take his training to the next level, to reach the pinnacle of the Hyuga clan, not only in terms of their gentle fist style, but the Hyuga were known for many other techniques, including some powerful sealing techniques, on top of the sealing jutsus that he had learned from Kushina as well, and from his time training using the Scroll of Sealing. As such, Hiashi was a great help to Hiruzen as they fought against Orochimaru along with the Edo Tensei versions of the first and second Hokage. In the meantime, Naruto would go to back up Hinata, as the two of them would deal with the Sand Trio, their fight eventually leading them to come face to face with Gaara. The battle would be intense, however Naruto and Hinata working together in combination would be able to deal a great force and blow to Gaara, not allowing him the chance to transform into his full state, mainly due to the fact that the damage he had taken from a Gentle Fist user was more than he could handle. On top of that, Naruto also had the aid of the Rasengan at hand, with the Rasengan being slammed straight into Gaara's back in his half-transformed monster state, while Hinata would finish him off using the 128 palms, striking away at his chakra network and reducing his ability to use it, as well as cutting off his ties to the One-Tails, with Naruto assisting with his 64 palms Gentle Fist strike. Gaara would find himself outmatched in that moment. But there was also something else. You see, Hinata being a Jinchuriki, she had never experienced what Gaara had. Gaara had gone through being hated by his village, despised by his family. Hinata, on the other hand, she never experienced such a thing. The Hyuga always made sure to look out for her. At worst, she would get a couple of glances in the village whenever she traveled, a few people whispering here or there, but nothing serious ever happened. She had Naruto. She had even regained a friendship with Neji. Slowly, her father had great admiration and love for her. But she could sense that within Gaara, he never had such a thing. Because of that, she was moved with pity for Gaara. As Gaara lied on the ground, feeling hopeless, defenseless, and fearing for his life as Hinata slowly approached him, instead of being met with hostility, she extended her hand to his, trying to help him to his feet and giving him a hug. She would apologize, knowing that whatever he had gone through in his life, it must have been really hard. She was sorry that he had to endure such a fate, and that while she could not fully understand him, she could at least sympathize with his plight. Gaara was moved, his heart sterned, his emotions being thrown all out of whack. Was this what love felt like? To be cared for? To have someone acknowledge your existence? For Gaara, he had never felt such an emotion before. And yet, even still, it was one that he did not shy away from. Gaara could feel the hatred melting away from his heart slowly. The cold wall that he had kept up to block himself from the outside world so that he could never be hurt. He was known for being a shinobi of having the ultimate defense. But it wasn't the defense on the outside. It was the defense that he kept around himself on the inside. It was something that no one had ever been able to penetrate before. And yet now, Hinata had become the first to do so. Kankuro and Temari would join, taking their brother and taking their leave. Gaara would apologize to the both of them, the two being shocked as they never would have expected Gaara to behave in such a manner. Konoha Crush would be brought to an end. Orochimaru would have no choice but to retreat. He couldn't believe it. He had thought that in his lifetime, the only shinobi who could have rivaled him was Minato, who had died. But no, even if the yellow flash of Konoha was gone, the White Phantom lived, and the White Phantom would be the guardian of the Hidden Leaf Village. Hiruzen, tired and exhausted and worn out and mentally from facing off against his former student, would be grateful that Hiashi had been there to assist him. He had made the right choice, and now it was time to follow through. Following the events of Konoha Crush, Hiruzen would stand before the people of Konoha. He would tell them that while he had served them happily, he had realized that his time had truly come, and there was no point in holding back the next generation. As he called for the new Hokage candidate to step forward, Hiashi Hyuga would do so. Naruto and Hinata watching on with the other people, standing proud as Hiashi would take the mantle of 5th Hokage. His face being revealed on the Hokage monument standing next to Minato's. As Hiashi looked forward, many things ran through his mind in that moment. Minato, all those years ago, you entrusted everything to me. You entrusted Naruto, this village, into my hands. My wife, Kushina. I hope that even in death I have made you proud. Our daughter has grown to be a fine shinobi. She emanates your beauty and your strength, and I will carry on your dream. I hope that I can be a Hokage that you would be proud of, and I yearn for the day when I will see you again. Hiashi Hyuga, the White Phantom of the Hidden Leaf Village, now the 5th Hokage. However, all was not well within the Hidden Leaf. Danzo was not too thrilled of the matter. Hiruzen finally steps down, and yet he appoints Hiashi Hyuga. Tell me, has my new garb been made? Yes, Lord Danzo. I will have to keep my distance for now. The Byakugan sees everything. If he were to learn the truth, then all of my efforts would be brought to waste. At the very least, the Hyuga are more tolerable than the Uchiha were. However, we will keep our eyes on them for now, especially Naruto and Hinata. As Hiashi would take office, Hiruzen would be moved to be one of his advisors. The 2 other elders of the Hidden Leaf had also been removed. They were not thrilled with this decision, but Hiruzen and Hiashi felt it was for the best. Who would be the other member on the council? Hiashi hadn't decided. However, he knew that he'd have to pick someone eventually. However, there was more that Hiashi needed to learn about the position he had taken. Secrets that Hiruzen had kept for a long time. The meeting was private but long, and when it was over, Hiashi wondered if he had made the right decision being Hokage. So Itachi isn't a criminal? In the eyes of the law, he is. However, he is your greatest of allies. But this changes everything. The Uchiha clan. Everything we thought we knew. I am sorry to have to burden you with this information and truth, Hiashi. However, if you are going to be Hokage, then you must be made aware. Otherwise, you would not be able to see things as clearly. Then just what on earth am I supposed to do now? We will have to move forward with discretion. As Hiruzen would blow smoke from the pipe that he had been smoking, the room would turn dark and foggy, before turning into an inverse world of red and black. Standing in the room with them, although as if time had stood still only for the three, would be Itachi Uchiha. Itachi, Hiyashi would say. Congratulations, Hiyashi. Or should I say, Lord Fifth. Time would pass after that moment. As Sasuke lied recovering in a hospital bed, he was not in the best of moods. For as powerful as he thought he had become, in the end, he could do nothing. His arm had damn near been taken off of his shoulders. If he and Lee hadn't pulled back and held their restraint, things could have been worse. And safe to say, Naruto and Hinata were getting stronger than him as time went by. Just what was he supposed to do now? Where was he supposed to go? He could never defeat Itachi the way he was. From here, the events of Naruto would play similar to before. Naruto and Sasuke would face each other on the rooftop of the hospital, with Sasuke feeling his power being more and more inadequate. He would find himself seeping deeper and deeper into his hatred. He would be confronted by the Sound Four, and would attempt to take them on their offer to join and find Orochimaru to gain power. However, the story would deviate in a great way. When the time came to go after Sasuke, Naruto was ready to join them. However, Hiyashi would not allow it. What? What do you mean? Father Hiyashi, Naruto would say, I have made my decision. You are not going to be on the team to go after Sasuke. But he's a part of my team. You can't just... I have made my decision, Naruto. Please trust in my thinking and judgment. I have something of other importance for you. With that, Shikamaru, the newly made Chunin, would lead a team with Lee, Kiba, Neji, Choji, and Hinata, as they would be the ones to go after Sasuke. Naruto, in the meantime, would be taken by Jiraiya. They were going on a different mission, to find Lady Tsunade. Moving back to the Sasuke retrieval mission, our scene takes us to the Valley of the End. Hinata lies on the ground. She had used a great deal of power in an attempt to bring Sasuke back, even being aided by the power of the Nine Tails, although in the end, it wasn't enough. Kabuto would arrive, finding Sasuke, preparing to take him. However, before he could, a wall of black flames would rise, forcing him to retreat. From the shadows, Itachi would walk forward. Itachi? Orochimaru, the slime that he is. He couldn't steal my Sharingan, so he chose to go after my little brother. Stay back. For you, I have no sympathy. And now, I rid you from this world. Kabuto would be burned away with Amaterasu, a flame that would not die out for 7 days and 7 nights. Sasuke, tired and exhausted, would fall to his knees in fear as Itachi loomed over him. Itachi would tap his brother on the forehead and he would faint. Itachi would take Sasuke somewhere private, far off where no one could find them. The two were going to have a talk. In the meantime, Kakashi arrived to the Valley of the End to find Hinata. He would carry his student back to the Hidden Leaf Village. Naruto and Jiraiya, in the meantime, would eventually find Lady Tsunade, who was being summoned back to the Hidden Leaf. When she heard news that Hyuga had become the 5th Hokage, it was a bit shocking to say the least, although in the end it was to be expected. He was one of the famed 3 from the Third Great Ninja War, along with Wicked Eye Fugaku Uchiha, the Yellow Flash Minato Namikaze, and now the 3rd member of the monster trio, the White Phantom Hyuga. Since 2 of them were gone, it would only make sense that he would finally assume the position of 5th Hokage. Although why she was being called back, she didn't know, nor did she truly care. However, Jiraiya assured her that it wasn't for Hokage business, but they needed help. Tsunade would listen to Jiraiya's plea, and after some convincing and sweetening the deal with a nice severance pay, along with a good deal of sake and a good supply of other resources to fulfill her gambling needs, Tsunade and Shizune would join them in the Hidden Leaf. There, Jiraiya would reveal why he and Naruto had brought her there, to figure out a way to deal with Naruto's curse mark. The curse mark was not something that could easily be undone. Tsunade, feeling as though she could at least do this much, Hiashi even personally begging for her help, she would help Jiraiya look over the problem. Hiruzen would offer his expertise and assistance with ninjutsu, and together, the 3 would begin studying immediately. After some time, they would realize that sage arts were involved, and Ma and Pa Toad from Mount Miyabuko would be called in. Pa Toad would reveal that the influence of Orochimaru was mixed in with the sage energy. This was a snake sage power found from Ryuchi Cave. After Ma and Pa Toad would give their assistance, they figured that there was only one way for this to work. The curse mark itself drew in sage art energy, and it fueled the mark. However, the more that one relied upon it, the more influence of Orochimaru could be gained. However, if one could remove the influence, then you'd just be left with a mark that could draw in sage energy. Of course, the power of Snake Sage mode was not one that was easily mastered or used. In fact, it was nearly impossible. But the boy had the genes to do it. After all, his father was a sage. After going over many different type of practice procedures, they had finally found one that could work. Jiraiya would enter into honorary sage mode, with Ma and Pa Toad on his shoulders. Naruto would be strapped to a medical chair. Tsunade would warn him that this was going to hurt, as she used her healing palms to rest on Naruto's chest. She warned him that once they started, they could not stop. If they did, Naruto would either be stuck in his state forever, or he could potentially die. This was the ultimate gamble, but it was a risk that Naruto was willing to take. With that, the operation would begin. Jiraiya would take his hand and lie it upon Naruto's curse mark. Immediately, chakra would be poured into the mark, Naruto would yell as his body began to thrash and writhe in pain. Jonin were called into the room to hold Naruto down, Tsunade trying to give him as much comfort as she could. Naruto's yells and screams were blood-curdling. It even left Hiyashi feeling unnerved. He hadn't even been Hokage for more than just a few weeks, let alone a month or so, and yet all of this was happening. Jiraiya would then begin to pull, and from out of the curse mark, a white snake would emerge. Jiraiya grabbed it by the head, the snake having the eyes of Orochimaru. This was Orochimaru's influence, his will. The snake was slowly pulled out of the curse mark. It was painful. It was gruesome. It was not one for the faint of heart. However, the snake would eventually be pulled away from the curse mark entirely. The moment it was, Hyuga would use his sealing jutsu to bind and hold the snake in place, long enough for Jiraiya, Ma, and Pa Toad to use the Sage Art Boiling Flame jutsu to burn away the snake and destroy it for good. Steam would emanate from Naruto's curse mark. However, the curse mark would still remain. It was no longer black, but instead, it was white. Now, if you don't know, in the Boruto series, there's a character named Code. I think you know where I'm going with this. If you're familiar with the use of the karma mark, then you know that Code has a defective karma, a white karma if you will. That works like the karma used by Kawaki and Boruto, but a white karma signifies an incompatible vessel. Basically, if you have the white karma, then your body can never be taken over, and you can use the powers of karma to a certain degree, but not to its fullest extent, although it is still pretty useful. I've decided to take that concept and use it in this story. Instead of Naruto having a black cursed seal of heaven, he has the white cursed seal of heaven, a curse mark that is free from the influence of Orochimaru, giving him access to use the curse mark's power, but without repercussion. Naruto would recover in the hospital and eventually awaken, finding the curse mark was on him, but it did not cause him any discomfort. There was no pain that came with it. Naruto would have everything that happened to him properly explained, and he would thank Tsunade for her help. Of course, Tsunade didn't know if the operation would work or not, but the boy had managed to cheat death and survive. He was impressive. She would give him that. As such, now it was time to decide what they were going to do going forward. For Naruto, Sasuke was gone. They had to find and get him back. That was most important. And Hinata felt the same. Hiyashi would think it over. Before Tsunade would leave, he would ask one more favor of her. Tsunade was getting tired of doing everyone favors, even if she was getting paid well for it. But still, it was about Hinata. If the Akatsuki were going to be after her, she had to be kept on the move. And well, if there was anyone he thought could be good enough to train her, to help her hone her power, as well as mastering the power of the Nine Tails, it would be Tsunade. Tsunade was surprised by this. She had met Hinata a few times, and she had to say, the girl was definitely impressive. She had a lot of talent inside of her, just waiting to be brought to the surface. But was she really the best choice to train her? Hiyashi believed so, if she'd be willing to. For Tsunade, she thought it over for a bit. It wasn't like she had to be Hokage or anything. She didn't have to deal with that. And she herself was Uzumaki in blood along with Senju, so to some degree the two of them shared some familial bond. After thinking over her decision, she decided she would take Hinata along, although she warned she wasn't going to go easy on the girl just because she was the Hokage's daughter, and Hiashi understood that completely. With that, the two children would begin packing for their journey. Naruto, as he was going to be going on a training expedition with Jiraiya, and Hinata, as she was going to be taken under the wing of Tsunade. The brother and sister duo would give each other a hug and a fist bump for good luck, promising that they would come back stronger and determined to bring back Sasuke. Before Naruto could leave, though, a small box was given to him. It was a box that belonged to his father, Minato, and Hiashi felt that Naruto should have it now. Naruto would thank Hiashi, giving his father a hug as well. Of course, Hiashi never wanted to take the place of Minato, although at the same time he couldn't deny that he saw Naruto as his own son, and Naruto felt the same. Even if Minato was his father, Hiashi was the one that raised and looked after him, that was there for him when his mother died when he was young. For that, he would always be grateful, and he would always have his love and admiration. Hinata would give a hug to her father as well, thanking him and promising to come back even stronger. As Naruto and Hinata would begin their respective journeys, Naruto would open the box to see what was inside. There was a couple of scrolls, a couple of documents, a photo, and a kunai, a 3-pointed kunai. In the meantime, in the Uchiha hideout, Sasuke sits on the ground, Itachi sitting on the throne. So that's the truth. It is. I've shown you for myself. That is the fate of the Uchiha. Whatever you choose to do now, I understand. But just know, I will always love you, Sasuke. I don't like it. Even if I understand it, I don't like it. It's not easy, Itachi would say. So how? How could you just do it? Don't you feel any anger towards the leaf? Any hatred? I do not. But didn't you care about them? Of course I did, Sasuke. I cared about mother and father greatly. Then how? How could you choose the leaf over your own family? Sasuke, do you know what it means to be a part of a village? Huh? The village is one family. That was the wish of the first Hokage. A village is not meant to be divided by clans. It's meant to be united on one front. I will not act as if the village has done everything perfectly. It has many flaws. But even still, the first Hokage said these words to Madara in their final battle. He told Madara that to protect the village, he would kill his own child if his child were to become a threat to the village. The first Hokage was not even an Uchiha, and that is how strongly he felt. He more than willing would give his life over and over again for the sake of the village. A shinobi is one who endures, Sasuke. One who puts the needs of the others over the needs of himself, even when it is not easy for him to do so. I do not relish what I have done. I don't take delight in it. However, I know what I have done and I cannot change the past. Sasuke understood this. He didn't like it, but he understood it. But what now? What on earth could they do now? Sasuke, do you hate everyone in the village enough to kill them? Sasuke would think this over. He thought about Naruto. He thought about Hinata. He thought about Kakashi, Team 7. When he saw their smiling faces in his memory, he didn't want them to die. He didn't want to kill them. And knowing that they were potentially going to be the targets of Orochimaru and of the Akatsuki, that is what angered him. I don't want my friends to die. Then will you fight to protect them? Of course I will. But there is one in the leaf. There is one that I want to kill. First, Madara will pay for what he did. And second, Danzo Shimura, the Root. They do not belong in Konoha. If I am ever to see it as my family, the Root must die. Sasuke's Sharingan now blazed as it slowly morphed into the Mangekyo. Itachi's would as well. That, little brother, I can agree with. This concludes Naruto Moonlight. What if Naruto was a Hyuga? Part 5. Remember, get this video to 50 likes by next Monday and we'll continue into the Shippuden part of this series. Also, stay tuned for tomorrow's video as we continue the brand new part of Naruto Polaris, the Fallen Star. What if Hanabi Hyuga was born first? But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with Power Core Productions and Podcastings. Signing off, and I'll see you next time.